Hey guys, today we're going to talk all about budgeting and what are some helpful tips that my wife and I have developed that worked for our family and hopefully can help you to, not only just help you save more money, but, really help to get more life out of the money that you do have and, really try to be more intentional in your finances. So it's been really fun. So I'm excited to break this down with you. And but if this is your first time joining us, welcome. My name is Michael Foley. I'm a certified financial planner and student loan professional, and I'm also the son of two doctors, and really developed Lifestyle Creep to help our healthcare workers in our society to really be more intentional in their finances, for really meeting you where you're at, and hopefully helping you, inspire you through some helpful financial tips to live more humble and quiet lives. But so let's dive in. So we came up with 7 different budgeting tips that my wife and I implement on a regular basis that hopefully can help you in your finances. If you're trying to figure out, maybe we're paying down some credit card debt, or maybe we're trying to save for that house, or maybe we're trying to just spend less on a monthly basis, right? Any of these things, hopefully these tips will be helpful for you. But so tip number 1 is I always pack a lunch. When I go to work, I don't buy food at the office. It still astounds me how many people just go and buy food at work, and it's incredibly convenient. And trust me, it's not that I never do that, but I found that it tends to save us a heck of a lot more money. And so I want to kind of break down the math of this, right? So most places when you're going to buy lunch, maybe it's if you're reasonable with it, it's anywhere from like 10 to 15 bucks per every time you go out, right? So when we're looking at it from a getting groceries standpoint, I've been able to kind of be that we're spending maybe like $3 to $5 per meal per lunch if I just pack my own lunch and bring it to the office. And we even have like a refrigerator, so I literally just bring all the ingredients and just stick it in the refrigerator and make my lunch here, so I don't even have to pack it before I go in the morning. And so if we're looking at, okay, let's go on the upper end of that. So maybe I'm spending $5 a meal if I pack my own lunch versus $10 or $15 a meal if I'm eating out. If you feel like you got to tip every time it would do that stuff when we eat out. So now we're spending $10 extra per meal. So let's do the math for us on that. Okay, so if we're spending $10 extra per meal times, let's say 5 meals a week, so that's $50 a week times 4, that's $200 a month. So this is what the question that we have to ask, and this is what my wife and I determined this wasn't worth it for us, is the convenience of eating out on a daily basis more or less valuable than $200, right, per month? And some may say, hey, that's totally worth it. But, we always like to quantify that in another context. So if we look at that and saying, okay, well, hey, that's a membership to a really nice gym in town, right? And so, well, yeah, I'd rather pack my lunch and maybe have access to a nice gym that we can take our family or things like that. Or maybe that's like half of a car payment or something like that we could maybe not have to maybe that could help us get to that goal that we want. Or maybe that's if we times that by 12. That's $2,400 a year that we're saving. So, well, now we're talking $2,400, that can buy us a lot of different things that may be more valuable than just the convenience factor of, going down and getting your lunch at work. So that's something just, always put it in the context of something else, right? So what is that opportunity cost? So if we are choosing and we're voting with our money and saying that I want to buy lunch at work every day, I'm saying that I think that is driving more value than that money could be used in somewhere else in my plan, right? And so, really it doesn't have to be always just going towards savings. This is all about trying to extract the most life out of the money that you have. So that's a good exercise to do to try to figure out, okay, is this actually even worth it to me, or what else could we be doing that with our money, right? And we can deploy that better. But so that's number 1. So number 2 is we always look at used before purchasing new. So what I mean by that is there are so many different sites that we can go on and purchase secondhand things that, maybe it's just a want that we have. So perfect example is, our son Daniel is getting to the age where he loves going on hikes. And so I've had this like chest carrier thing for a while, and it was just so painful that I was like, I really want one of those sweet structured backpacks that he can be up in his little chariot up there and just love it. It has a little shade and everything. So some of these ones, these Osprey ones are like $350, brand new. And so, this is something that I've been, thinking about, wanting to purchase. But that's something we kind of always go back to, is saying, all right, well, can we find this used for cheaper, right? And so we went on Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, and we were able to find some that, this couple bought during COVID. They took their baby on, 2 hikes with it, and then it just sat in their storage closet. It's like perfect condition, and we bought it for $160, right? And so we just saved almost 50% by buying it secondhand, which it has the same utility for us. This is something that we're going to be throwing dirt on and getting dirty, and he's probably going to throw up on it, and all these different things that doesn't need to be brand new. It accomplishes the same job, and that just saved us half the price of that, right? So that's just one example. But when you're looking at buying something new, see if there is something that if you can accomplish the same job with that same product but used. So there are some things that we kind of draw the line. Hey, we don't really want to buy that used. Maybe it's not going to have as much that same value. But you'd be surprised with how many things that we come across that it's just hey, this is something that's going to be outside, or hey, this is going to be for our kids that are going to beat up anyways, and I'm okay if it has a little ding on it because somebody else used it a few times before I did, right? So always look used before new. Okay, that's one of the other rules that we found that has been really helpful to save money. The other thing that has been really, really good is, we've taken this from some of the minimalism stuff that I'm sure you see online, and we don't go all day that far. But one thing that we have identified is that as we acquire more stuff, especially with the baby, that we just run out of storage space for a lot of the stuff. And so we're looking at maybe we should get a shed in our backyard or things like that. And I think he was researching the U.S. has more storage units than some crazy metric, as people have so much stuff, right? And so what we've gone through is every so often we'll go through all of these things in our house that we have that maybe are stuffed away in a drawer, or maybe we bought on impulse sometime, and we try to sell it, right? Can we sell it and make some money off of it? And the other thing that Lindsay, my wife, has been really good at is if there's clothes that either just don't fit anymore, or maybe she doesn't wear anymore, very quick to sell that stuff, right? And so we've gone through just over the last few weeks and just kind of purged a lot of the stuff. I bought a little speaker a while ago that I haven't used in a year, so we sold that. There's all these shoes and purses or clothes that my wife doesn't wear anymore, and some of it's designer stuff, and a lot of times you may just want to donate it, right? But oftentimes, if you can sell that, there's a huge market, especially on Poshmark. My wife is kind of exposed me to this Poshmark world. She's got a whole closet on there now. And it's crazy how fast this stuff sells. And so, just over the last couple of weeks, just selling just random stuff around our house, we've made over $1,000 on this. And so it's really cool, so that anytime there's something in your house that's just taking up space that you're not getting that value out of that, but maybe that has a monetary value, we look at it as just dollar signs just sitting in our house. It's like if you open up the couch cushion, you find $100 bill right there, you'd be stoked, right? And so we kind of look at the same thing in our house and be like, hey, well, we're not really deriving that much value out of this thing anymore, so let's sell it and let's exchange that for something that is driving us more value. Okay, so for example, when we sold all this stuff, we went and bought a new car seat, right, for our son, and we're driving a lot more value out of that nice new car seat than something that is just sitting around our house. And car seat is one that we don't want to buy used. Those ones makes me nervous. I don't want to buy a used car seat if it's been in a car accident or things like that, but you can put that on the list for the things to maybe buy new and not used. But other things. So the other thing that we want to look at that we always avoid are food delivery and grocery delivery at all costs as we can. There's obviously situations when we're sick or we can't get away, or things like that, and we just need to use a grocery delivery or a food delivery source. But something that we really try to get away from is making a habit out of that. There are so many things and so many other ways of doing this stuff now. So so many of the grocery stores, even our neighbor turned us onto this, but sometimes you can even order all your groceries and then you don't even have to get out of the car, which has been huge for with our son. When we get him into the car seat, it's such a pain to get him out of the car seat, and then we got to take him into the store, got to shop, try to avoid him a meltdown, right? But with these new services, you can just order everything online, and most of it's going to be saved for you. So you just click order again, and then you pull up, and they put it in your trunk for you, so you don't even have to get out of the car, right? So that's something huge, and you're saving all the fees of having someone actually physically deliver that to you. And not only are you paying the fees for the delivery, but oftentimes there's markups on the underlying products or themselves. And so really be thoughtful, about that in your own situation, because you'd be surprised how much money you'd save by just going and getting your groceries, going to get your food, and not paying for that extra convenience factor. So again, maybe there are some situations where the value of that convenience is more valuable than anything else in your situation. So when we're sick and we want food and we need stuff and we can't go out and get it because we don't want to, get other people sick, that is really valuable for us to have that delivery, right? But most of the time, that's not necessarily the case, and that extra money adds up, because anytime we make a habit out of this stuff, it can really add up, okay? Now, the other thing is that we also like to limit the number of days that we eat out on a weekly basis. And so there's a lot of research out there that was talking about, how often you eat can also lead to increases in those expenses. So what we maybe had budgeted for eating out can actually grow over time, and people tend to spend more than they think that they spend when they do eat out on a regular basis. And so instead of us trying to limit, what we order when we go out or things like that, we instead just say we only eat out twice a week. Okay, so that's our deal. So we like Friday and Saturdays are kind of like our eat out days, right? And so we're homebodies, so we don't even like to go anywhere. It's usually dad going to pick something up and bring it back, and but we just limit. That's our routine, and that's kind of what we limit. So sometimes putting a limit to the number of days that you guys eat out oftentimes can be helpful in kind of wrangling that budget for you guys. Okay. The other kind of, the last two are kind of, more of something that we've identified as a couple that has helped us in our finances. And so the first one is, we call it the wait, talk, and decide. So anytime we have a desire for something, we, get a targeted ad, sent our way, or we have something else that comes up, that's something that we always like to wait before we just impulse buy it. We wait, and then we talk to each other about it, and we have that conversation of saying, okay, is this more valuable than X, Y, or Z, right? And we try to put that dollar amount in other terms. So is that worth a month's worth of groceries? Is that worth, going on that vacation, right? Sometimes we're like the eating out, right? Well, if that's a decision that we're made, well, $2,400, that could be a good chunk towards a really nice vacation for us, right? And that's more valuable than me, just bringing my food into the office, right? So, but try to put it in other terms is really helpful. And then we decide. So if that's something after, maybe a week or so, we still really want that, and we can't identify anything else that we would want that money to go towards, then we buy it and we make that decision, right? But being more intentional with that, as opposed to letting the emotion of kind of in the moment, and these marketers are really good at getting us to going on that stuff. So being very thoughtful of that. And then the last tip that has really been helpful for us, especially as we were merging our finances as a couple, is setting a dollar limit on what we're comfortable with the other spouse spending without a conversation, right? So in our household, that number is about $200, right? So if there's something that Lindsay's gonna want to buy, or I want to buy, or something like that, it's under $200. Go for it, right? Obviously, we don't want to be reckless with that, right? Or abuse that. But if there's something that we want to be buying that's over that time, that dollar limit, that's something that if we weren't to talk with each other, we identified that it makes us a little bit uncomfortable. And so it doesn't mean that if it's over that dollar limit, that person can't buy that thing, right? It's just something that it's worth a conversation, so that both of us can be on the same team, right? We're not living different lifestyles, and making sure that we also know that we're maybe we have a big spending month, and if we don't communicate on that, sometimes it can get out of control really quickly, right? And so sometimes being intentional with having that conversation, if it's going to be $300 purchase, $500 purchase or more, that's something that we're at least going to connect on it and make sure that we're going to kind of do our weight, thought, decide, make sure that that is really something that we both agree on, and then we make that purchasing decision. So these are just 7 different helpful tips that, again, they're not, anything other than some things that my wife and I do that we found has been able to save us money on a regular basis, that we can either save more money or reallocate to something that we're getting more life out of with our money, right? And that's something that has been really, really helpful, and we continue to refine. So as other tips or other things come up that are working well for you guys, feel free to reach out to our team. And if you're having trouble with trying to figure out how to manage your budget or handle some of these things, our team, we would love to spend some time with you and see how we can help come alongside you in your finances. So feel free to reach out. We'll put our contact in the show notes for you. And again, we hope this has been a helpful episode, and we look forward to seeing the next one. Take care.